Welcome to the All Things Marriage talk show and podcast with your hosts, Kevin and Angel Brown. This is the place where every episode brings you closer to a stronger, healthier, and more fulfilling marriage. Each week, we'll guide you through the journey of building a successful relationship, growing, learning, and encouraging one another as God intended. With practical advice and heartfelt discussions, we'll equip you to grow together in love and faith. No marriage is perfect, but with the right tools and mindset, you can create the marriage you were meant to have. So, grab a seat, relax, and enjoy another inspiring episode with Kevin and Angel Brown on the All Things Marriage talk show.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first episode of ATM, All Things Marriage. I'm George Sanders, your guest host for today, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be here with you. It's an honor to kick off this show, and I'm excited about what we have in store. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with the remarkable couple, Kevin and Angel Brown. Not only are they the creators of this talk show and podcast, but they've also helped countless couples build and maintain successful marriages. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a big advocate for mentorship, especially mentorship from those who truly know how to guide and support you. And Kevin and Angel are perfect examples of that. With 47 years of marriage and their leadership as pastor and first lady of Redeemed Church in Newport News, Virginia, they've got invaluable wisdom to share. Bottom line, if you want your marriage to thrive, you need to hear from people like Kevin and Angel, and I'm thrilled for you to meet them. This interview was so powerful that we turned it into a two-part series. So without further ado, let's welcome Kevin and Angel Brown for part one of this incredible conversation. Kevin and Angel Brown, how are you today?
Oh, man.
Doing great.
Yeah, doing good. In the hood.
I hear you. Look, and y'all are always looking great. So, I mean, that goes without saying. So, attractive couple, handsome couple, and just the epitome of what we all strive to do in marriage. Now, we're going to talk about some things here today where we're going to talk about perfect marriage, because I look at you guys and I say, look, that's a perfect marriage. That is, if I look in Webster Dictionary, it says perfect marriage. It's gonna have the Browns in there. Now, I know you're gonna give me some answers to some of these questions that I'm gonna say, what?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you guys set an example as a Christian couple, as a Christian married couple that we all have will strive to be like. I understand that everything isn't perfect, but you guys do a great job of not only being together yourselves, but helping others in their quest to have a great marriage. So let's get straight to it. For those that may be in the listening audience who may not know who the Browns are, can you tell them just a little bit about yourselves, please?
Sure. You want to start or shall I?
Well, sure. I've been knowing Kevin for about over
She was 11 when we
50
met.
years, maybe.
Wow.
She was 11 years old when we met. So
Yes. And got married right after high school because I love this man so much.
well,
Amen.
what can I say?
And 2 weeks after I graduated from high school, got married, and 47 years later, we're still here.
Wow.
Yeah, I'd have to say that a brother was, fell in love for, Lord, head over heels for this woman. And I tell you, bruh, you married, you know what it's like to see her come down that aisle.
Yeah,
I thought she was floating, man. I didn't know she was even walking. And she looked like she was just floating and gliding down the aisle. And she looked so radiant and so beautiful, man. A brother, trying to be macho, but brother was welling up, man.
You was crying. Yeah. Hey, look, and I'm not mad at you.
Yeah, brother, it's hard to hold that down, And
Wow.
it was a big wedding too. But I went to the Air Force. I was in the Air Force a couple of years before I got married, because my dad told me, when you get married, you can't bring her back here. He says, you got to have your own place to take her, because you ain't coming back up in here.
Yeah, right.
So you going to be grown. And so
Amen.
I joined the Air Force, man, and did 26 years in the Air Force. She joined me in 1978. And June, and man, it's been an adventure. Ups, down,
Yeah,
ins, outs,
ups and downs.
over. I mean, man,
Oh,
you talk about having a perfect marriage. Lord Jesus,
uh,
that's the next question I know. But
Yeah, well,
Lord,
it is. I joked around a little bit in the beginning, and I said, you guys the epitome of the perfect marriage. Now, let me ask you this: is there such thing as a perfect marriage, and if so, how can me and my wife be striving to that particular point?
it's in Wikipedia that perfect marriage. Our picture ain't in there. Nobody picture. Nobody picture in there.
It's a
And
silhouette of two
it's
people.
a silhouette, just a shadow. Because Wikipedia lies. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no such thing as no perfect marriage, brother.
yeah.
The only thing is a successful marriage where you got two people still madly in love with each other, still striving to better each other, to encourage each other, and to walk in biblical forgiveness.
Ooh. You're gonna have to kind of expound on that when we say biblical forgiveness. Tell me what that means, because that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds pretty interesting.
Yeah. It might hurt you a little bit, might hurt a little bit, but the truth sometimes hurt. But the Bible tells us that when we forgive, if we don't forgive, God won't forgive us or Christ won't forgive us. So our forgiveness is reliant on us forgiving others.
Mhm.
That's number
Mm.
one. Number two, forgiveness is the greatest act of love that you'll ever see, you know. And so, because of that, we know love and the act of forgiveness takes no record of wrong. That's what Paul tells the church of Corinthians. It takes no record of wrong. In other words, as you accumulate this debt of things you decide whether to forgive or not forgive, as you accumulate this incredible debt, the best thing you can do is let it go.
Mm.
Mm.
Let it go. It didn't say forgive and forget because our minds, God didn't design our mind to forget. But what He did empower us to do was to acquit, to let it go,
Wow.
Yes.
and not carry the load with us. The Bible also tells us to lay aside every sin and weight. Not everything is a sin, but there are some weights that we carry around, baggage that we carry around that we should just leave in the past. Let it go. We can celebrate the new year. Don't drag that mess into the new year. Lay it aside.
Amen.
And I'm going to tell you, your stride is going to change.
Yes. Yes.
And well, I would even say that so that is applicable not just in husband and wife relationships. That's applicable in all relationships, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And you better get started with that. People
Yeah.
that are thinking about getting married, people are in their first year or first few years of marriage, you better master that piece.
Yeah.
Mm.
Forgiveness better be the piece you work on because you are going to make mistakes. You are going to encounter things that don't go the way you plan. And you're going to hurt each other. Not
Yes.
Yeah.
intentionally, hopefully not intentionally, but you are going to hurt each other. And if you don't have forgiveness, biblical forgiveness, you will injure each other and with an injury that is irreparable without forgiveness.
Well, how you mentioned that. Here's what I'm thinking as you say that. Obviously, being a Christian is a great way to start in order to have the biblical understanding that you can have biblical forgiveness. But a lot of times, when the forgiveness part, when someone has wronged us or we believe someone has wronged us, we tend to take it personally.
Of
We
course,
get, as they say, all in our feelings. But
all
I
in
would
your
ask
feet.
you, Sister Angel, how do we stop that? Because sometimes because I want to hear from the sister's perspective on that because
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I said this a couple of weeks ago when we had the marriage. We talked about marriage at church,
Yeah.
and out of your relationship with God.
See?
So you have to build on your relationship with God because I'm gonna tell you, if Kevin did something and it just really hurt, I have to go to the Lord. I said, Lord, this really hurt, and I don't like how I don't like how this came out. And
mm,
then and the Lord begins to he just really began to really minister to me, And then to me, it's like this process. And then I have to go after I had my talk with the Lord. Then I'm ready to go to Him, because sometimes and earlier in our marriage I just shut down. I just like, I don't want to talk. But now I had to learn, as I began to grow more and more in Christ. I have to learn to give those things to the Lord, and I have to ask God to help me, because I can't do it on my own. Your emotions, your emotions will be all in it, and you can't do that thing on your own. So I have to get some strength from the Lord. Lord, you need to give me strength on this. Lord, you need to talk to me about this. Lord, you need to give me some direction on this, because this is what I want to do, but what do you want me to do?
Right. And this always keep coming back to what? Having a relationship with Him. Absolutely. Wow.
Because you're looking at some changed people. We aren't the people that got married almost some 47 years ago.
That's true.
Those young people that got married had no clue. They didn't have a clue what they were getting into. They couldn't even spell marriage. They could barely spell wedding. They didn't know what was going on. They didn't know what was happening. The only examples they had in their life, in her life, she grew up with a single parent home. So she had a very strong female in charge of her home, and she was mom, dad, everything, she ran the show. In my house, I had a father and a mother. My father was somewhat of authoritarian, but I know who carried the real weight in that house, and it was Mama, and she carried it with a gentle word.
Right.
She's the one that caused the king her head to turn right or turn left. She was in control. And so those type of conditions and sometimes we're a product of our environment. So when you grow up like that, what you take from those models that were laid before you, my dad made some major decisions. Mom influenced the decisions. Well, in her case, she didn't have dad. And so now we come together, and now her mom is talking to me, and my dad is talking to her mom.
Right.
And they don't care for each other.
No.
They don't like each other.
Yeah.
They don't even want to deal with each other. Because they're so used to being domineering and having their own way. You do what I say, when I say it, how I say it. When I say jump this high, you better be over here.
Those first 2 years, I'm going to tell you, those first 2 years without Christ, I wasn't even in Christ.
No spontaneous combustion.
Wow.
Matter of fact, I had my bags packed a couple of times. Look, I ain't got to deal with this.
Yeah, you ain't got to do that.
And me,
you ain't the only brother in town, huh?
Right. And me being so clueless, I'm thinking I'm doing everything right.
Yeah.
And my models are things I saw through media, not social media, because it wasn't that, but through media, talking about the television, through family members, my sphere of influence. This is what a good husband is supposed to be. Now, yes, I was in the Word, and I was sharing things out of the Word, especially Ephesians. I was in Ephesians. Women need to submit. That's what they need to do. If they do their part, we'd be all right. And so I was deep in that, head all blowed up and everything. But the beauty of it is, God changes you. The more you grow close to Christ, God reveals the shortcomings that are in your life. The simplest thing I've ever seen Jesus say to folks who tried to fix each other. He says, you know what? Before you can do anything with the little mote in their eye, why don't you deal with the beam that's in your eye? He's saying in a very nice way, why don't you take care of you? If you deal with you, get you straight.
That's right.
Don't work. He's working on her. You need some work.
Amen.
Do that work. And once you do that work, working with me, I can make the other thing work.
Beautiful. Now, when we talk about marriage, there's a cliche saying that's been floating around here for a number of years that marriage is 50-50. I take it you don't subscribe to that cliche.
If marriage is 50-50, that must be at the divorce proceedings when they are dividing up
the assets.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because marriage has never been 50-50.
Wow.
Marriage is 100-100. When you go into
Amen.
marriage, it's 100 on her, 100 on you. You guys are all in.
Yes, we both
Amen.
give it 100%
Mm.
to this relationship.
Mhm,
Yes.
mhm.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. Yeah, that mythological saying is insane. And I heard it. I heard it,
Yeah.
you know, and my 50 and her 50 don't make 100.
I think we were all talking a while back, and we said that's this myth that was created by someone who's selling a whole bunch of books somewhere that's
That's
been
right.
married for 2 days,
Yeah, yeah. And some of them ain't never
divorced
been married.
divorced 8 times,
Yeah. Theories, man. Throwing
Wow.
theories at a brother.
a whole bunch of theories. Now, you
Mhm.
know, you guys were as I'm trying to picture this whole thing, you know, you said 2 weeks. So, Sister Angel, you were 2 weeks out of high school,
Yes.
and you married this brother. There had to be. I'm sure there wasn't like, yay! It had to be some people saying, "Girl, what is you doing? You got your whole life. Why don't you wait 10 years or 5 years or whatever?" There couldn't have been a whole bunch of bell ringing for you. I would imagine, and I'm just maybe there were. Tell me about that.
Tell them about the marriage counseling. We get pre-marriage counseling.
Well, we had, we grew up Catholic and went to Catholic school, and
Mhm.
it was Father Moody was his name, and he did the counseling when he came to, came to pick me up before we got married, and so he wanted me to wait, because he said, okay, you're in your mother's house, your mother took care of you so many years, and now you're going into this marriage in his house, and you need to be on your own for a while, experience what it's like, being out there on your own, and a lot of things he was talking to me about, and I thought about it. I thought, well, maybe we should wait, and I talked to Kevin about waiting, and he was like, "I'm gonna leave. I can't come back and get married." Then I talked to my mom about it, and my mom was like, "Oh no, you get married. I done paid all this money. You're getting married."
Yeah.
So, but even the people, I know people were kind of wondering. They had question
Mhm.
marks, like why is she getting married so soon? So, but they never said anything to me, But
Well,
Yeah.
if
And
I
he was
think about it
terrible,
this
man.
way,
He was terrible.
Sister Angel, you had
huh?
the right. You had your mother saying you was gonna get married, and you
That's
had
right.
Kevin saying you were gonna get
That's
married.
right.
I think for the most part, that's who mattered. And obviously with your thoughts and your concerns on it, everybody else, was inconsequential.
I
And I
was
think
thinking
about that.
elope, brother. I was thinking elope because
Oh,
that guy, he counseled us. He was counseling for a week, 2 weeks,
Maybe a couple of weeks.
couple of weeks,
Couple of,
man.
yeah,
And every time we sat down with him, he was talking about waiting.
yeah,
He told it to me. He told it to her.
yeah.
And I mean, every reasoning that he could come up with for us not to get married, he put it down, and I picked it up. Every one of them, I like, nope, nope, nope. And
and
at the
obviously,
last meeting,
Mhm.
I felt like we need to elope because this dude, how this dude gonna marry us? If he feels like this,
yeah.
and
But he
so I'm thinking,
probably
"Look,
was basing it. Now, I mean, was he basing it on just the raw statistics of it that, couples that get married this young, what was his
I'm not
reasoning?
sure if it was
Yeah,
statistics or his affection for her because he was her teacher too.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
My
So
religion teacher in
yeah,
school.
and so she's
Okay.
growing up in high school,
Yeah,
and he's one of the teachers.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he
He
had a relationship with her,
relationship, right.
and he
And
felt
probably
like
figured he was looking out for you.
exactly,
Uh
Yeah, that's
yeah.
exactly,
true. It
yeah,
could have
Yeah.
been a little bit of statistics too, because back in those days,
yeah.
it seemed
That's
like a
true.
long time ago,
That's
there
true.
was a lot of teenage marriages. People were marrying. Matter of fact, once we got married, we were in Utah, and we ran into quite a few couples that had
Yeah,
gotten married right at out of high school. So back
Hmm.
then, that was the thing, everybody, because
That's true.
everybody in the little area where we were at, they were, everyone was military in the apartment complex that we were living in at the time. And everyone was like 18, 19, 20.
That's true.
Everyone was pretty much teenagers back then. They were still in their teens, and we were all married.
That's
Nobody
incredible.
knew what they were doing either.
Yeah, what do they call it? Just winging it. Now, let me ask you this. So for you, obviously in hindsight, we can look back on this and say you married the right person. 47 years of marriage. You've seen
Mm.
ups, downs, and sideways and all of these things, and have managed to have a successful marriage. We've already established perfect is out the window. Successful is what we're striving for. As you think about this, and you've been knowing, Brother Kevin, you've been knowing her since 11 years. She was 11.
Mhm.
One would say, well, obviously this is divine. God meant for you to be together, right? How does one know that they're marrying the right person? I mean, divorce rate is approaching
Yeah,
60% now,
yeah,
and sad to say, it's even higher in the church. I'm going to say that again. The divorce rate is even higher in the church than it is in the secular world. How are we knowing that we're marrying the right person, and what do we do to kind of ensure that?
yeah. And it's interesting because in my case, even as a teenager, I was praying for a wife
Oh wow.
as a teenager.
Mm.
And the Lord would often give me dreams and visions about all kinds of things. But one night he gave me a vision about my wife. And I had this heart that was given to me by this Greek couple. My dad was working in a coat factory, international, and he was invited to a Greek wedding. And so he took me and my oldest brother. And she liked me for some reason. So she gave me this beautiful heart. Um, and I wouldn't give anybody that heart. I dated a lot of girls before Angel, and everybody was trying to get a brother's heart, and I wasn't giving it up to nobody.
Mm.
And in this dream the Lord gave me, I gave the heart to this person, and she was silhouetted, so I couldn't see her face. But I knew that a sign that this was the right person, I would I would know that she would get my heart. And it was funny. She never asked me for it. She was the only girl I dated that didn't ask for it, you know. And then one day I looked at her and she was wearing my heart. I'd given it to her without even knowing or realizing what I was doing. She was wearing my heart. And I said, okay, Lord, this is it.
This is it. Wow.
But there is a process that I've learned over the years doing marriage counseling and pre-marriage counseling. Folks, when they look at each other, like I said, it's an eye thing. Your eyes is first thing that as far as your senses is the first thing that makes the
Sure.
connection. You make the connection with your eyes. That thing looking good, brother. That thing looking real good, brother. And when the eyes get involved, then the mind get involved. You're
Right.
in trouble if you let the eyes take over, because the
Mm.
eyes will get you in trouble. If you
Yeah.
if you just give it a minute, your mind will engage, and then your mind will start to be a little analytical about, okay, is this person even my type? I mean,
Mm.
does she like what I like? Is she interested in what I'm interested? And so the mind is at work. But if them two is working together, then the heart, it's gonna jump on the heart, because then you're gonna start feeling some kind of way about the person. And once the heart get involved, then it gets toward the commitment level, you know. And in our case, this is something I discovered, is that is the soul gets involved, because I love her soul. And that might
Amen.
be hard for people to even comprehend that, but we all have souls. And so I love um, the way she thinks. I love the way she feels about things, because the soul is made up of your mind, your will, and your emotions. I love her passions. I mean, I love what's on the inside of her. When you get to a place when you love someone's soul, and I've seen this in the military. People could go through horrendous situations where they lost body parts. I have a friend whose amputations, he had no knees when they finished with him. And his wife, her love and her affection for him never waned. It got to a place that she has to care for him. And her love and respect for him never waned, And there's so many stories that we have like that, where people, they love you beyond the physical, So if it stops before the soul piece, you're going to have a problem.
Mm. And so it's not that thing, the love at first sight thing. I mean, it is a maturation, right? That's the eye. So it is a maturation process that one must go through that says, okay, this is the person for me, because, here are all the stages in which we've been through. As I think about, 47 years, I'm sitting here and I'm marveled at the, how two people have literally come together, and we've defined that, both your backgrounds were different. Single mom, dual parent household, at some point in time, and look, Sister Angel said there were a few times where she had the bags packed and was like, brother, I'm gonna see you.
First 5 years was real, brother.
But I'm sitting here thinking about this, that there had to be something that was there during those times, because every couple is going to face that, right? There's going to be, and a lot of times these issues aren't to their own doing. It may be something that's so traumatic or stressful that's happening to them that causes them to lash out and be uncharacteristic, person that they typically are. And maybe it could be the death of one of their parents. It could be financial issues. It could be all kinds of things. I was talking to a pastor the other day, and he said, George, you know how many couples break up after a miscarriage? Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, I would think that they would come together at some traumatic. He said, you would think that, but depending on how they handle the situation, that could be a disruptive thing. So in looking at that, what advice would you give to a couple who, when they're going through the things? Is it to sit down with folks like yourself? This concludes part 1 of the 2-part inaugural show of ATM, All Things Marriage. Part 2 is coming up next.
Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the All Things Marriage talk show and podcast with your hosts, Kevin and Angel Brown. We hope today's episode has inspired and encouraged you on your journey to a stronger, more fulfilling marriage. Remember, no marriage is perfect, but with the right mindset and the right tools, you can build the relationship you were meant to have. Join us next week for more practical advice and heartfelt discussions to help you grow together in love and faith. Until then, keep growing, keep learning, and keep loving each other the way God intended. We'll see you next time on the All Things Marriage talk show.
Looking for inspiration, motivation, and the good news of Jesus Christ? Look no further. The Daily Gospel Network has what you need. With more than 300 ministries from all over the country broadcasting every week, you're sure to get your dose of spirit-filled encouragement from the great programs on the Daily Gospel Network. Catch the Daily Gospel Network on Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, all mobile devices, and the internet,